Yesterday, I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was at this huge conference. Lots of people. It was this scientific seminar, which I do freelance, where I do videos for companies and I do write-ups on articles and websites for them. And so I was covering this event, and I saw an older couple. They both had gray hair, and they're, I don't know, maybe 15 feet away. And I'm walking by and I'm seeing them sit down at this conference. And I thought to myself, is that man Asian? I couldn't figure it out. And with him having gray hair, a full head of gray hair, and his skin tone was, I couldn't tell once the hair was a different color. And I thought, I can't tell if he's Asian, because there were a lot of people who were Asian at this conference based on what it was about. And so lots of Asian people, some people who were not. But I just couldn't figure out if this guy was Asian or not. And finally, after looking, he didn't see me staring at him, but as I was looking, I finally figured out, yes, he is Asian. But it was interesting, and it made me think about this. As we age, as we become older, as we either lose our hair or our hair turns colors, you know, turns to gray, it's like we sort of turn into this vague version of our ethnicity. Have you noticed this? Have you thought about that? That you sort of lose certain ethnic traits as you get older. And it's funny because on the same way, I know a guy who's completely just a white guy, but he actually looks kind of Asian now. So I saw an Asian man who, as he got older, looked like he could almost pass as a white guy. And then at the same time, I know a guy who's about his age, who's just a white guy, but who kind of looks Asian because his eyes sort of have the shape of someone who's Asian. So it's interesting how we sort of get kind of watered down and sort of kind of look more the same as we get older. And I've even seen this with people who are of African descent. Once they get older, in their 60s, 70s, I don't necessarily know their ethnicity. It's not as obvious anymore. So does that make sense? Have you ever noticed that, experienced that how certain traits of ethnicity start fading as we become older? As, let's say, as we get closer into later 50s, 60s, and beyond, it's not as obvious as it is when you're younger, someone's ethnic traits. I've noticed that, but now that I've seen that just recently, I wanted to share that and see if anyone else can relate to that, or if I just seem like a crazy person. If you can relate to that at all, let me know, because I've never heard anyone ever talk about this in the history of my life. So I'm talking about it now so we can have a conversation right here in the comments, because that's what this channel is all about. It's about asking questions and having conversations about these little things about ethnicity and DNA that you wouldn't necessarily have in the real world, but here on my channel, we can talk about it in the comments right here.